Now last week what we covered was the cruise that we are on, but one of the areas that we left out was where we are going to be traveling to and all the stops that we're going to be making, and that is what this video is about today.
And this is going to be a great video.
Yeah.
Because this has been a great experience, an experience we will never forget. We highly recommend it. As you can tell, we have sunglasses on, I have a stocking cap on. We're bundled up for a reason, for a very good reason.
Right. So now when we started off, we were in Buenos Aires, but then we quickly, over 3 days of travel time, so not that quickly, our first stop was Punta Arenas. Now in Punta Arenas, there's not a whole lot that you're going to be able to see and do when you're right in the town, but you can go on some of the expeditions, some of the excursions.
It's a great launching point to get to Patagonia. Now these excursions do cost a little bit of money. Yeah. Something that we decided not to do. This whole experience is enough of an excursion for us to where we did not pay for any of those excursions. But
for a lot of people,
many do, yes.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, it's absolutely worth it. Now, one of the things that we did cover in last week's video, if you did not catch that, go back there and catch that, because we covered everything that it cost us to be on this cruise. And for a lot of you, this kind of cruise is feels unattainable, and we hope that we kind of made it in a way that it might be obtainable to a lot of people.
There's an expensive way to do this, and there's an affordable way to do this for some. Now we do understand there's the logistics involved, but this was a way that we were able to get to this continent and do this for an affordable price.
Right. So now back to the first destination we were in was Punta Arenas. Now, like we mentioned, there are excursions you want to do. One thing that we would point out is if you are going to do excursions, you know, a lot of time it's tempting to do those excursions that are not included with the ship because they tend to be a lot more expensive. But when you choose to do those excursions that aren't part of the ship, you also don't have that guarantee. So if they run a little late or there's any problems, you are left behind. They are not going to wait for you. But on the ship excursions, they do wait for you because it is part of their package.
Yeah, you run the risk. Okay, our second stop was Ushuaia. Now, this is a bigger town. There's a little more to do, but it's also mainly a launching point for some great excursions, that we were tempted to go on, but we didn't do it either. We decided to go we did go on one excursion. We found a brewery, the Patagonia Brewery.
That's our kind of excursion.
And I'm guessing it's the furthest southern brewery in the world.
Well, that's our guess. You know, Ushuaia, that's kind of a fun fact about it. It is said to be the end of the world. It's just a beautiful, picturesque place. We really just loved the time that we were just walking around in the town area, but then also just getting back on the ship while nobody's on there because they're all out doing their thing, and just sitting and taking in the scenery because it is absolutely gorgeous. And it's just your introduction to kind of what you're heading towards and what you're going to see.
What you're going to see. Now, some of these excursions, you know, the boat trips, the bus trips, there's also plane trips that will take you out of the airport well into Patagonia. I guess 2 or 3 hours into Patagonia. So there's some great options, but the main thing that we're on this cruise to do is come where we're at right now.
Now, before we get to the place we're at, the one thing that a lot of people have questioned about this is that you do have to cross Drake's Passage.
Yes.
Now, getting to Antarctica, they kind of say this is like your, what did they call it?
Your passageway, your right of way.
Your right of way, yeah. And depending what you're going to face when you get here. And so for us, fortunately, we had a very nice crossing. We had about 12-foot seas, which for us wasn't anything.
Wasn't bad at all.
Kind of rock and roll a little bit. Who knows what it's going to be like on our way back? But this can very much vary your trip.
They call it the Drake Shake or the Drake Lake, one of the two. Yeah. And we got somewhere in the middle.
We got in between that, which is kind of what we wanted. We really didn't want the lake necessarily, but we wanted to have a little bit going on.
A little bit of shake.
Yeah. So, but you will get across there. One thing to make note of is if there is bad crossing, they are going to delay you in some way. They might have to delay coming across, and they may have to speed up going back, like maybe even cut your time short. So just be aware of that there is that, but it's all because your safety is in mind. They're doing it for your benefit, not just to make your trip not ideal. And now to the place that we've all been waiting for and why you get on these cruise ships to come here, and that is Antarctica, and that is where we are right now. We've actually been out here now. This is our second full day cruising. We'll have 4 full days out here cruising around.
And I can tell you right now, that might seem like a lot. 4 days, well, you see it so much,
Yeah.
and it's just mind-blowing. The pictures that you're going to see here, this video, it doesn't give it justice.
No.
You've got to see it in person. We've seen humpback whales, we've seen penguins, we've seen orcas, we've seen all kinds of wildlife out here.
Yeah.
And you know what? You don't even have to really see any of that. You just get to see all this.
You
and
just
it's
get to
amazing.
enjoy it, yeah. You know, and it's really great. The ship that we are on, we have had, the captain is fantastic. We also have somebody coming on that does commentary that you don't miss anything. You really don't have an opportunity to miss it because they're going to let you know anything that's coming up on what side of the boat it's going to be on, where we're going to be heading. They are very on top of letting you know
the
everything.
differences between icebergs. I only thought there was one kind of iceberg, but there's different types of icebergs. And I'll tell you right now, when you see an iceberg, you just see the tip. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
Can't tell you how many times I've heard that joke. Yeah,
I've said that a lot.
It's not funny anymore. Yeah. So, but this is really why you want to be up here. You know, we are on this big cruise ship, right? And so it's maybe not the most ideal. And so one of the things we are going to kind of do is point out maybe what we see as a positive of being on this size of ship, and then what we see as negatives. Now, one of
pro
the
and con, if you
pro
will.
and con,
Yes.
yeah. One of the things that I right away, you know, when we signed up to do this, we right away we're kind of thinking, I was thinking, we're not going to really get that close up and personal with these icebergs. We're going to be kind of further away because it's a big ship. I have been absolutely shocked at how close they get us to everything. Not where you can touch it, but boy, you are darn close.
Yeah, you're right up next to it, and with commentary the entire time over the loudspeakers. Now, they do shut them off in the stateroom, so if you don't want to hear it, you don't have to, but you can turn it on in the stateroom also.
Right.
So one of the pros, my biggest pro, is all the deck space on this specific ship. Now, you're not going to have any problems getting to a rail to see the icebergs, to see the animals, to see, you know, if there's a whale on one side of the ship, everybody tends to go to that side of the boat.
Yeah.
There's still not going to be any problems. There's so much deck space and so many observation decks on this boat that it will not be a problem.
Well, and I think that that's one of the things we kind of wondered. One of the reasons that we chose this and this ship that we're on is because of that deck space. Now, one of the things, I'll just have Brian scan over to the side right now just so you can see, because we are talking, but there is nobody on this railing up here at all.
We try and pick quiet parts of the boat, and you do see a couple right here. They're wondering what we're doing, but I'll tell you what, it's been very nice. So we can really actually move around the boat and do video from all over the place, really.
Right. And then another pro that I would think, now we are saying these pros, we have not gone on one of the smaller expedition ships, and I can honestly tell you we never will go on one of them just because they are way out of our price range. But on this ship, when we are seeing some of the other ships, you really kind of, we have a lot of space here. We have a lot of space to get away from people. We have a lot of space that, like we're saying, that you can kind of be in your own area and observing. And we see some of these other ones go by, and it's like you're kind of on top of each other. So we do really appreciate that.
Yeah, Carrie's disappeared a few times where I couldn't find her at all. And I'm like, gosh, this ship is so big. I think sometimes she's trying to get away from me, which would not be a surprise.
I just need my quiet space, but no, I do not try and get away from Brian. And the thing on here is they actually have an app, and you can track where we are, so I can't get far.
I can always find her. That is also a pro about the Princess cruise ships.
Yeah.
And we're not sponsored. We paid top price for this,
Yeah.
but I love the little medallion system they have going on. They have an app where you can find anybody at any time. As long as they're in your group, your party, you add them to that app, and you'll never lose them.
So now packing for a cruise or some kind of experience like this was a challenge, because we normally are packing for typically kind of warm environments, and if you follow us at all, you know that all of our stuff is packed into a carry-on bag. We really, when we were looking at doing this, contemplated should we check a bag, and we decided no, we're going to do it carry-on. Now, if you would be interested to see how we actually pack to come here, because after this we're going to warm climates, you know, so we had to do both things, then go ahead and let us know, and maybe we'll do a packing video on that. But now, the key things you do want to make sure that you have when you're coming here, especially here in Antarctica, but then also as mentioned in the other places that we have been as well, is that you want to make sure you have really good sunglasses, make sure they're polarized so that you are not getting that glare off of the water, make sure you have sunscreen, because we've been warned many times about the UV level here, and then also just, you got to have that warm clothes. So like I said, that was a little bit of a tackle to do.
Now, there are a couple of cons on this ship that aren't a big deal, but they're something we noticed. The dining area, the 2 places where you go through the buffet are a little bit cramped. On cold days like today when people aren't out on the deck, it does get quite busy inside. But the pro is they have a covered pool area, so it's warm, but you still feel like you're outside. So you kind of have to take the good with the bad on that. The other con might be the dining, specialty dining areas. There's only 2 on board. Now for us, we're not paying for that specialty dining anyway, but some of you might prefer it. So there's only 2 different types of restaurants where you pay as you go. Okay, one of the cons of this particular cruise is you don't get off the boat. Now, those expedition cruises where you do get off the boat, you're paying 20, 25 grand a person just to do that. We're not paying nearly that. So this is something that we are going to count this as a continent, even though we're not going to actually step foot on Antarctica. This is close enough.
Okay, so now we still have 2 days out here in Antarctica. Like we said, we're going to be cruising around, but after this we have 2 more stops. All right, so we are at one of our last stops here, but before we do that, we did want to kind of fill you in of the last couple days. So one of the places that we went to, which was so cool, was Elephant Island, and a lot of just really cool the glaciers.
The glaciers were amazing.
Yeah.
The penguins.
Right.
The 250,000 penguins we got to see. You need binoculars. Make sure you get a pair of binoculars. And remember, we pack our bags very light, so we got binoculars that we can actually pack away.
Yeah.
Carries are smaller than mine even, but you will need binoculars. You will need sunglasses. Get good sunglasses as well, because everything's white.
Right. Yeah. And so some of the other things that we saw, which was really, really cool, was the change of color of the water. So when you're near those glaciers, you get this just vibrant aqua blue water, and then some variations in the water where we had this really dark area and then that bright blue. So just a lot to see and a lot to take in. I would say that after 4 days out in Antarctica, you do feel it's enough time. Like you are ready to go, but it didn't feel like way too much time. So it was really kind of perfect.
Yeah, it really was. You know, we like to get back to the greenery instead of just seeing white icebergs all the time. Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that if you haven't experienced it, you need to. We are glad we did, and we are glad that we spent the money to do it right.
Yeah, but now this morning I was actually really excited to open our blinds and look outside and see some greenery. And like we said, we are at our last location here, or one of our last stops, and that is the Falkland Islands. Now we feel incredibly fortunate that we are stopped here, because this is one of the places that, depending on weather, a lot of ships get diverted and they don't get to stop here. So we do feel really fortunate.
Yeah, they said 50-50.
Yeah.
And we're right on the edge, so we got to stop, so we're excited about it. More penguins, different species of penguins this time.
There's multiple, Yeah,
and we're going to show you how to get there too. We're not doing an excursion. We're going to take public transportation to get there, so we're going to figure that out ourselves. So we're going to take you along for the ride.
Antarctica wasn't a budget location so much, but we are trying to show you the best way to see it as budgeted as possible. So this one is supposed to be really good and very affordable. Okay, so it's pretty easy. Right when you get off of the tender, when they're bringing you in, just walk up the ramp, and then you want to look for the person with a flag on the back, on their back. And if you don't see them, just walk in the visitor center and ask, and they are going to guide you where you need to go.
Yeah, people are very nice. Ask questions and you get to where you want to go. A little bit chaotic at first. We were like, oh my gosh, but here we are. It took 5 minutes. So no problem. $20 each round trip.
And that's U.S. funds.
U.S. funds, yeah. So bring your 20s. And real easy. Let's see what happens.
We are on our way. It's only like a maybe 15-minute ride, and that is for a round trip. So yeah, we're excited.
Okay, first of all, I'm overdressed. We were told to bundle up, layer. Well, right now it's about 60 degrees out, and I'm warm. It's not even windy out.
We just brought a backpack with us, so you know you can kind of just take everything with you, because the last thing we wanted to do was get off the ship and then be uncomfortable in one way or the other. So,
right. So be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared either way. We have to say that on this entire journey that we've been on, we have been so lucky with weather. This is one of those areas, like we said, that you might not be able to come to because of weather. So
you just don't know. Now there's a hop-on, hop-off bus. It's a double-decker red bus that you can also jump on. Not sure how much that costs. I think they all cost about the same. Ours was pleasant because we have a little van.
Yeah.
These vans just circulate every 15, 20 minutes or so. Jump on any one of those vans and you're good to go. So we've got like 8 hours here in the Falkland Islands, so we got plenty of time. I might even get a nap in today. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see. Yeah, so where they bring you to is right now where we're at is just kind of, it's Gypsy Cove is where we are. Anyways, and right now it's super quiet. There's only a few people here, and I'm sure that that's just going to change as the day goes on. Your hope here is to see penguins. Right now we don't see any, so we've got to walk in and go and explore a little bit. But I have to say the beach here is actually really pretty. It's white sand and blue, and
it looks pretty cool. And on that note, the fact that there aren't very many people here yet, we were the 20th grouping to get off the ship. Now, we got our tickets at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
We were still the 20th grouping, and there still aren't very many people here. So with that being said, good and early, get your time in.
All right, let's go see if we can find some penguins. All right, so we're walking around. It is absolutely gorgeous here. Unfortunately, we're not seeing a whole lot of penguins right now. There are a couple down on the beach, and so you can kind of view those from afar. So once again, make sure you have those binoculars. But it is the right time of year to be here is the thing. It's breeding season, and so they're kind of all in their nests. So we hear them. We hear them all around in the grass and in the brush, but we haven't been able to spot a whole lot of them yet, but we're gonna kind of go on. It's like an Easter egg hunt. We're gonna go search for them.
So just 1 hour later, now there's only one cruise ship in town today, and this is only an hour later from when we got here. So make sure you get on that early tender and get over here as soon as you can. And don't hesitate pushing your way through either, because nobody else seems to.
Guy there is waiting for him.
There's one big penguin down there. You probably can't see it with the GoPro, but I'll tell you what, it's pretty cool. This is why you need the binoculars. If anything else, if we don't see many penguins, we have a beautiful day, an amazing walk, finally getting off the ship.
It's actually really cool.
The fun thing about taking tenders back to the ship is when the tender breaks down.
Is that broken down yet?
I'm pretty sure it's broken down.
And the waters aren't exactly still.
Yeah, I think we're heading back to the dock. We'll see how this goes. Yeah.
People that would, if it was super crowded and started doing that would maybe, because I want to be near the word.
No starboard engine is the announcement that I heard.
I have no idea. We just hit the side of the ship.
Yeah. Hopefully the ship's okay.
Ship's okay. I think the other boat that we just hit too is not very happy.
We got some guys scurrying right now, so this is actually kind of fun. This made the excursion all that much more worth it.
We didn't even have to pay extra for this.
No.
Yeah, I really just hope somebody grabs in front of
This is a free show right
our
now.
boat here that we're on so we can actually get off of it.
I can say I've been in worse situations than this.
Yeah, we both have, so that's probably why we're a little calm.
I was in the captain of one of them, and I was less. Well, let's just say that this is kind of sketchy right now.
Yeah, we're just gonna let this pan out.
All right, we made it back on the ship, safe and sound.
Yes, to the back of the ship, which is absolutely our favorite spot. The nice thing on port days is that the ship is absolutely empty right now, so we really enjoy that. But now, the port that we came into is actually called Port Stanley, which is on the Falkland Islands. And, you know, I would definitely allow just a little bit of time to walk through that area as well, because there were a lot of cute little gift shops and stuff to just kind of walk around. It's super clean little town.
Yeah, it's got a museum, a schoolyard, The post office, a police station, yes, a bar, a tavern is closed, which is okay because we got these here for free.
Yeah.
So give yourself some time. It's not just about the penguins. Great trip. We had an amazing adventure. Now, we got lucky with weather.
We feel incredibly fortunate for the weather that we had because, you know, even in Antarctica, we had a couple days that were sunny and the wind wasn't high, and even the captain was saying, I mean, we went to some areas that other ships have never been, or actually the Princess ship has never been to, and so we feel incredibly fortunate. This is just one of those adventures that, you know, no matter what the cost, which we are a budget channel, so we feel like we didn't spend too much.
We got our money's worth.
But we don't have any regrets, and we would do it 100% all over again.
Absolutely.
So now, before we close out this one, though, we do have another stop we're going to be making on this trip, and so we have 2 more days at sea, and then we are going to be stopping in Montevideo, Uruguay, which we're very excited for, but we feel like that town has a lot to offer as a destination, so we're going to be doing a separate video on that destination.
Yeah, that'll be a good time. Don't miss that one. Okay?
All right.
We're done. Cheers.
Cheers.